It's the day before Nokia's most anticipated announcement, maybe ever, showcasing a product more thoroughly leaked than almost any other in its history. We'll talk about our hopes and fears for the new phone and the challenges of covering a device so thoroughly leaked. All that, plus a handful of Android and iOS news in the hour ahead. So let's get right down to it on episode 052 of the Pocketnow Weekly, the once-a-week podcast from Pocketnow where we discuss smartphones, tablets, and the state of mobile technology in 2013. I'm your host, Michael Fisher, editorial director at Pocketnow, and today I'm joined by chief news editor Stephen Leaky Fawcett Schenck. Good morning there in Pennsylvania.
How are you, Michael?
I'm very well. It's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you very much.
I think we're both doing better, though, than senior editor Taylor Heatwave Martin. Good morning to you, you poor, sweaty man.
Good morning. Good morning.
Taylor.
I'm not sweating yet.
You're not?
Yet.
Really?
Not
That
yet.
fan is doing its job?
It is. I turned it down. I don't know if you noticed, but I turned it down.
Oh, you did turn it down. Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
Bless your heart.
We were having a discussion on the other side of the podcast in the pre-show about how we're like the most industrial podcast today. Taylor has a giant fan on him, and Steven's keyboard broke, so he had to replace it with a Smith Corona word processor. Is that what you were working with there?
This has a manufacturing date of 1988. It's 25 years old.
It's a typewriter, actually.
Yeah, right. But it's legit. It's what, an IBM mechanical keyboard, you said?
Yeah, Buckling Spring Model M. It weighs about 5 pounds. You can really hurt somebody with this if you need to.
I can't wait until you start Googling something in the middle of the show.
Also, I wouldn't call my fan large. It's the only one I have, and it's got a diameter of about 10 inches.
Oh, that ain't no large fan. Yeah.
It's a tiny fan, but it's got a punch.
Should I have sent you some box fans in the mail? So, Taylor, you want to tell the listeners what your issue is? It's not just that you're in Carolina in July.
Yeah, right. There couldn't have been a better time for my air to go out. I came home from a weekend back home with my family, and my air was out on Sunday when I got home, and my apartment was upwards of 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was kind of toasty. It was a lot cooler outside. It was upper 60s, I believe, outside. So I figured my unit had frozen. It was running full blast when I got home, and it's done it before, so I figured it was frozen. Flipped it off, left it off for 2 days. So I suffered through Monday with no air, and I figured it's time to turn it on, and it was blowing hot air. So it was 85 inside, and I turned the air conditioner on, set it to 68, and it started rising to 90 degrees.
That's the wrong way.
Yeah. So I flipped it off, told the complex that my air is not working, it's blowing hot air. And they sent a maintenance man yesterday while I was away. And they said they were going to try to fix it. And I told them to put it at 70 if they do. I came home and my apartment was pushing 90 degrees again.
That's got to be...
At midnight. At midnight. And if you don't have moving air... If you raise all the windows, if there's no way to pull the air into your apartment, there's nothing that raising windows is going to do.
No, the apartment's perfectly happy just to sit there and cook because the windows don't exactly go all the way up to the ceiling.
Yeah, so I slept in 90 degrees last night. And
so I'm talking to Taylor today on Google Hangouts, and I realized what it takes, because it's tough to get Taylor unsettled. Like, you can't do it if you're an ornery troll, or, it's tough to, get Taylor angry. But I'm talking to him this morning in Hangouts, and after a night of sleeping in 90-degree weather, every third word was an F-bomb?
Probably.
Take these creature comforts for granted.
I know. Not everyone is. Almost no one is docile in all circumstances, and I think we found what Taylor. Just don't get Taylor hot.
The heat kills me, man.
Yeah.
Like if I lived in the north, I would be pretty darn happy.
I was gonna say we got to move you to Maine.
I'd probably be ecstatic, but yeah, no. What happened was the guy who came to fix my air left the heat on. Like he flipped it on to heat. You have to manually switch it to heat.
Did you specifically tell him that you didn't want the heat on, though? Because this could be on you a little bit.
Oh, that's right. That's right, exactly. And did you tell him not to steal your microwave oven? Because if you didn't, that's on you, man.
I would prefer for him to steal the microwave, but he instead of leaving it on auto, he flipped it over to on, so it stays on no matter what, and he turned on the heat. So I came home, and it'd probably been running. I know he leaves here at 5, so it'd been running for 5 hours on heat.
In the summer. That's unbelievable.
With no air to fix it when I got back.
Well, I'm hoping I'm hoping he pays you a visit later when we're off the air. But listeners, please endure our added fan noise and our mechanical keyboard and all that kind of stuff. But I think we're doing well. I think we're in a good place to talk mobile tech, and I'd like to do that. And normally, Brandon Miniman is the purveyor of the thought thread, but he is busy having a baby or helping a baby get had. So obviously one of the weirder sentences I've said. And
he's helping have a baby get had.
That's exactly.
At least you avoided the mini-ming jokes.
I did. Thankfully, we've covered those exhaustively on previous episodes. But so I don't want to steal his thunder with the thought thread, but we do have a bit of a thought to lead us into the show, and it's part of the reason I wanted Stephen to come on the show, because Stephen, as most of you will know, is our chief news editor. He heads up the news desk, and Stephen is always posting news all day long while we are. The rest of us are opining or making videos or whatever, making podcasts. And as a result, Stephen has been the member of the team to when he's on duty to learn about awesome news before any of the rest of us. And the news coming out of Nokia tomorrow, which we will be covering in a special edition of the Pocketnow Live, so hang out with us tomorrow, is probably the most anticipated Nokia news of almost ever. This is going to blow the 920 out of the water, probably. Certainly the 900 wasn't as exciting as this, and yada yada. And I wanted to talk to Stephen about what it's been like to cover that uphill push of news. I mean, because the 1020 or the 909 or the EOS or whatever you want to call it is huge, and I'm very interested in how it's been to follow all of these leaks. Because it's been. Would you say this is one of the most heavily leaked devices you've ever covered, Stephen?
More than that, I think this is a special case because we've been talking about the rumors about this phone before there's even a reason to, before we heard a model number or any specific leak. Just the idea of there being a PureView Windows phone it started the rumor before there was any hardware to go along with it. So before we had a code name, this has been in the rumors. When we had EOS, it was in the rumors. And now, like you said, all these leaks, it's like, iPhone 5 over here. It's definitely unlike anything that we've seen from Nokia or Windows Phone in general, I think.
It's true, and I want to say that I feel a bit foolish in retrospect. If you look back to some of our MWC coverage when Nokia was hosting their big event, and like the day before, Tony and I are over there, just spitballing on camera. I think it was the Pocketnow Live, or it might have been the Weekly, and we're like, yeah, well, we're really hoping to see a big Nokia announcement tomorrow, and like there had been no leaks of any sort indicating that we had anything to expect. And of course, what did we get? We got the 720 and the 520. But
before the MWC, you did have reasons to be thinking that, because I think Nokia Russia posted a teaser video for the MWC, and it had pictures of the 808 in it.
Oh, is that?
And apparently it was super, unofficial. It was just some, I guess, interns or whoever without authorization.
But whipping up stock footage.
Nokia Russia put this out, and so it was like a day or two before. So you weren't off base.
Good, thank you. Because I'm sitting here thinking this whole time, I'm like, God, were we just so excited to have maybe something to report on?
But it's felt like that. We've been really excited to see this guy forever, and until now there hasn't been a sense, oh my God, it's finally about to happen.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that this is what we're going to see tomorrow, basically. And you're right. This has been something we've been talking about since the 808 dropped. Like, number one, Nokia is going to put this on a Windows phone, and number two, that's going to be amazing. And tomorrow is going to be the culmination of a lot of that. But when you're covering all these leaks, Stephen, give us. We don't often talk about the actual news cycle on the show. How do you separate the signal from the noise? There's so many leaks out there. I mean, how do you evaluate which ones you run with and which ones you leave alone?
That's tough, and a lot of it is, especially with the early stuff, you don't know what's real and what's not. I mean, when we first saw these, the images of the 1020, whatever it's going to be, it's the area surrounding the lens, the camera bump there.
Right. Yes.
We were all over that. Oh, this has to be a fake. It doesn't look right. The shadows weren't right. The engraving didn't look real.
Yeah, the
and
engraving was uneven, right? Yeah.
Sure enough, it looks like that was legit. And there's this.
I still think it was faked, because there's no way. I mean, think about it logically. How do you have two shadows in different directions? So I think somebody photoshopped it, but they photoshopped something that was actually real.
Okay, I see what it was based on the legit design. But there's this. We always have to very carefully try to evaluate what are we going to jump on as fact, what are we going to start treating a lot more harshly. I mean, even right now when we're seeing legitimate leak after legitimate leak, there was this render that, like the latest one to arrive the other day, it came alongside some very real-sounding hardware info. Talked about 2 gigabytes RAM. Mm-hmm. That's something I want to believe. It makes sense, so I run with that story. But at the same time, that render looks super iffy, and the more I look at it, the more problems I have with it. But so you don't know what you can trust, what you can't, and so I guess what we end up doing is presenting a lot of the stuff to you with trying to warn you when you might want to treat this with the appropriate grain of salt, or do not take this to the grave with you as gospel, and leave it up to the reader to try to obviously we're going to be the gatekeepers and keep the really awful stuff you don't have to worry about away from you, but we want to present the full story and let you know what everyone's talking about, even if it's not gospel from Nokia.
Take it with a full helping of poutine.
Right.
Oh my god! Can we talk about poutine for a second here? Inability.
I think we did talk about it when I came back from Toronto after I'd had it for the first time.
I have never had it.
Really?
Cheese curds around here. Trader Joe's used to, and they stopped, and I cannot find cheese curds to save my life.
Oh.
I can't. I've never tried it because they just don't serve. Like, no restaurant that I'm aware of serves it around here.
If you can find the curd, you can make it yourself, but that's the sticking point for me.
Yeah, see, I don't like. That sounds like a lot of work for me.
Back in the country, make our own curds.
Yeah.
No, I've gone to dairy barns. They don't even have the curds. They just turn them into cheese.
Boston. We got all kinds of dairy sources up here.
Seriously,
curds up here. But no, that's yeah. So the Nokia poutine is going to launch tomorrow. No. So and some of the go ahead, Taylor.
Well, I had it up and now I don't. I was going to read a tweet.
I wish. Of
course.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I switched my trackpad to touch to click when I'm on the podcast because it clicks so loudly.
Oh yeah.
So I accidentally clicked something and now I don't have it anymore, and I can't just simply go back. Well, so I'll keep searching.
Yeah, keep searching for that. So I was going to ask Stephen, like, how much does the source of the leak play into stuff, right? Because when I'm reading news stories, not only from Pocketnow but from other sites, and I'll see like leak, here's this thing that may or may not be real. The first thing I do is go down to the bottom. I look at the source link because I'm like, who did this come from? If this came from EvLeaks, then I can probably trust it. If this came from I don't know, what backwater tech, then I'm probably not going to look at it.
But a lot of those backwater sites, or at least the ones that you don't normally associate with being on top of leaks, have been getting a lot of really compelling stuff lately. And it's tricky. You don't know, is this coming from a legitimate source? So, you feel it out. You try and see if it fits in with the rest of what we've been hearing. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, eventually it gets confirmed and we get to, learn whether or not we should be trusting these guys. It's like Sam Mobile sort of popped up relatively out of nowhere earlier this year with a lot of leaks about the Galaxy S4. And at first we don't know how much faith we should be putting in this, but you get a track record going and develop a reputation for yourself. But again, it's also hard to find where the sources are a lot of these times. You can follow that trail of source links back pretty far, but eventually you're going to hit a brick wall. Sometimes that'll be, you get to like a Weibo. A lot of the stuff comes out of China, and once we get to the forums there, it sort of falls apart. A lot of that's, translation issues. We can't follow exactly what's going on, but you follow it as far as you can, and then you have to decide for yourself, go with it or drop it.
And that brings in a very interesting question. When you hit one of those brick walls, what happens when the brick wall you hit indicates, or maybe doesn't, or you just speculate that it's ending at a company? it's ending at the company that is being leaked about. I mean, when do you know that you've got a controlled leak going on? Because that's tricky, right?
The Thunderbolt. Yeah.
Was the HTC Thunderbolt a controlled leak?
It was most definitely a controlled leak because
I wasn't around for that.
It was like one picture or one or two pictures was sent to every single major site out there. So they weren't all the same pictures. They were all different pictures, but every site, like Engadget, when I was at Phone Dog, we received some. The Verge wasn't around, but
This Is My Next.
TechCrunch.
Yeah,
I think it was This Is My Next. I mean, it was just all these major sites got like 2 or 3 pictures. They were watermarked with something nobody had ever heard of, and they were super high res of an actual device.
Wow.
They weren't high res. They were really small pictures, but you could tell they were taken with a really nice camera. So we were just kind of like,
So. Yeah, that's interesting. So what you're saying is it was the most subtle leak ever, right?
Yeah, it was definitely controlled.
So
because 2 days after that, at the time that was being rumored as the Incredible HD, and that's what everybody was referring to it as. And
right.
Yeah, and it was the first LTE phone,
right.
And just a couple days after that, like 2 days maybe, Aaron received a box in the mail from an anonymous, I think it was HTC, but he didn't know exactly who it was from. And it had all this HTC swag, I guess you could call it. But it had all this stuff in there, stickers and pamphlets and all this other stuff about nothing, really. It was like clues. Like there was a TV, like a sticker of a TV, which meant HD, and it wasn't even HD. But all these things, and it was like, we've got something amazing or incredible. It was a play on words, and it was just right after the leaks. So it was just kind of like...
It goes from seeming like you have this great new insider source to this is just some marketing guy's idea of a fun new campaign to try to get the...
Capture attention.
Going about it. Yeah.
But what I was getting to is it all kind of came at the same time, and it was very obviously a controlled leak.
Right. And we're not seeing the flags like that with this one, right?
Yeah. I mean, not to that degree. No way.
But we're seeing some obviously, like, minor information leaked a little bit, like in the sample pics, right? In the shot of Joe Belfiore on his his Flickr page.
That had to be intentional.
Yeah, obviously.
We're going to find that.
Right, of course. Like that is, and I don't want to. I'm trying to find a synonym for controlled leak so I can stop using that phrase. But
probably a great German word for it, like 3 words crammed together.
There probably is Gewürztraminer. But the thing is, like, I think that's a wine. But the thing is, like, those are compelling, and everyone has gone nuts about this image in our various comment threads and
of Joe Belfiore.
His medal.
Yeah. What is he holding up? Like, this is, if you haven't seen this is Joe Belfiore holding up a gold medal he's wearing around his neck, and he's like standing on either a dock or a boat. What's going on?
It's a docked boat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, it is a docked boat because you can see the dock in the background.
I can't tell if the medal is supposed to be like a. The guy looks way too happy with his arms.
Yeah, he looks like he's doing like a half-hearted He
looks to me like he's trying to settle down a group of really ornery people. He's like, everyone, calm down.
That too.
Has he got the gold medal of mediation? I don't know. There's a marathon. Okay, it's a marathon. It says on the ribbon around his neck, it says it's a marathon thing. So okay, so he looks like he just got done running. But apparently, this is a great photo. Now,
was he running on water?
Yeah, right. That's the implication. But here's the thing: everybody's going nuts about the awesome camera quality of this photo. But this photo was shot on an overcast day. It looks like I don't see anything amazing about it. But this is why I am not a photography critic. In any case,
it'd be difficult to really say much of anything about it unless it were really large, like full res.
Yeah, I think this was one of the downsampled, the 5 megapixel. Where it's taking the 7 pixels, cramming them into one, so it should look really good still if that's what it's doing. But
yeah,
like I said, sometimes it looks like a good image, but it's hard to. We don't know where our eyes should go to tell the difference between something done by a prosumer camera versus a professional camera in the high end, especially with audio stuff too. It's
somebody look
hard
for
to differentiate.
Somebody look for a reflection here. See if he's actually using a Nokia.
Actually, I was just going to say,
guy in a van.
I was just going to say, it's stories like this that really bring out the gold standard in commenters. Because let me just tell you what this thread is. Someone named Troll has posted fake picture, just like last time Nokia deceived the picture using a DSLR, and the two responses are idiot and no.
Yeah, the troll trademark guy. He comments on pretty much everything ever.
I think it's coming to be time to ban him. Anyway, what's
yeah? So what I was talking about, what I found what I was looking for. It was someone on Twitter. I have no idea who it was, but somebody retweeted it that I follow. User K, I can't pronounce that. Curie Curie RT. I don't know. Anyway. She says, I'd pay $1,000 for a Nokia plus 41 megapixel camera plus Android, put Windows Phone instead of Android, and I'd take it if it was offered, but I wouldn't pay. What? Now, I believe, I think this person is, they work for Droid App Storm.
Yes.
I don't know. So they are obviously biased here, but it's an interesting take nonetheless. They'd still take it if it was Windows Phone, but they wouldn't pay. So, I mean, that was it just struck me as really, really strange. So I just felt like I needed to share that.
Yeah, the craziness is going to just multiply. But we've got so much here, and it's I feel like we could craft an editorial almost just based on all of the stuff we've seen. And you know what? I am going to say that I was a little pleasantly surprised on a show maybe 10 episodes ago on the Weekly. It was quite a while ago. Before we got any pictures of this 1020, we got this kind of first-hand written account of seeing one on a bus. Do you guys remember that?
No.
I don't read things.
No. I read it aloud on the air. I don't remember if either of you were actually on the episode or not.
I think I remember you reading it.
Yeah, because I read it aloud because I was like, guys, check it out. Because it felt like I was reading like a Roswell letter or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was on there. I listen when people read things to me, but I don't read myself.
Oh, well, I'm happy to read you Goodnight Moon anytime you like.
Oh.
Isn't that sweet? But
what
the
about
thing
the
it was
children's
crazy.
story?
Go the F to sleep.
Go
the F to sleep. Yeah. We can get that.
Read that one to me.
Yeah, we'll get Sam L over here. But the thing is, like, reading that account was awesome, and I was like, guys, this is probably fake, but I just got to read it because it's fun. But I think everything that leak described absolutely came true, from the big circular opening to the distinctive Lumia shape otherwise, and all this stuff. So I'm gonna the next time I get one of those in my mailbox, I'm gonna read it again, and it's gonna be fun.
Give it a second glance. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sweet.
I'm learning a little bit myself about how to do it.
I'm learning stuff.
And we're going to jump into another manufacturer here in a second, because you can only really talk so much about the 1020 and so on. Do we think it's going to be called that, by the way? Because that 909, what do you guys prefer? Would you rather it be called the 1020 or the 909?
I would
1020.
I would prefer them to get rid of number schemes.
No, number schemes are great.
Number screams are great too.
Number screams.
7.
No, it just makes it complicated once you get 10 generations in. Not that anybody ever goes 10 generations, but I mean, you look back at Blackberries. I was writing a Blackberry piece a while back, and I was just going through all the old phones I had, and I had the 8120, the 8130, the 8330, the 8310, the 9330, the 9310, the 9130.
I remember posting about my 7520, and people would always confuse it for the 7250, and I'm like, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
why?
So that's why I say that, because I've owned 30 some Blackberries, and I can't even remember all the ones I owned, and not even that, I can't remember a fraction of them, but just because it's so ridiculous.
I will concede that it has not been done well yet, but the idea of having, grouping the phones into families based on the numbering, all the 100 phones are the same, 200s or something else.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Sure. If someone did.
But eventually you run out of numbers. So say on this 920.
Dewey Decimal System is still running.
We got the 920.2.
I hate the Dewey Decimal
so
System.
what do you do? Okay, so you've got the 900 and the 920. So you've got the 925 and the 928. What happens when you go, so maybe the next one might be 930, 940. You've got 950, 60, 70, 80, but you're not going to use all those. They don't use
in a perfect world. we would do this like automobiles, and we don't need a new number or a new model every year. We just change. It's instead of the iPhone 5, it's the 2013 iPhone.
Yeah,
Right,
now
which
that
we're
would
seeing
be a
with the
totally
iPad.
different story. But
Yeah.
this is the exact same problem that Nokia has ran into at least one time, and BlackBerry ran into. They had so many BlackBerries, they ran out of numbers, and they were up to 99.
Yeah, 99,
99
50, 60, something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, so they
Yeah.
didn't have anywhere to go. I'm like, what are you going to do? Have a phone number 10,000 and something? Like, no.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for like the 10K or something like that.
No, so what did they do? They went back to just nothing.
Well,
They
now,
went to
but now
the Q10.
BlackBerry is doing but the Q10 makes sense because the Q is for the QWERTY, right? The Z10 is kind of this Omega thing, but then they're going to restart with A. Like, I think that's pretty cool. That's if you keep the numbers to like 2 digits or less and put a letter in front of them, I'm generally okay with it.
But I am upset right now by the issue we're facing by LG apparently dropping Optimus for the G2. This is just causing all sorts of someone writing articles and tagging things up. We already have a phone called the G2.
Yes, we do.
Right? Yeah,
Mobile
indeed.
G2.
Yeah.
By
And
HTC.
also, it's complicated by the fact that LG's own brand name is just 2 letters stuck together, so that just sounds gross. You know, it's like it's like the Motorola X makes sense, whereas like if Motorola were called I don't know, MT, like the MTX, like it's like actually that would sound pretty cool.
The
would
LG
sound pretty
G2
good.
sounds like it should be in a George Lucas movie.
LGG2.
It does, yeah. It
LGG2.
sounds like a droid, but not that
LGG2.
kind of droid. Anyway,
Yeah,
so we're
so,
going to talk
yeah.
about LG a bit, but go ahead. Yeah.
No, I mean, I was dying for the BlackBerry 10,573, but nobody else thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. Well, in the waning days, maybe of the 3-digit, flagships from Nokia, I wanted to call attention to the fact that I would actually kind of prefer 909. I think that makes sense given the 808. But the fact that it is a lower value than 920 makes it extremely unlikely, in my opinion. I don't think they would do that. However, I wish they would, because I think that would be pretty cool. But
Yeah, and you're already jumping into the thousands. We're going on year 3, and you're jumping into like.
Is there a better phone to jump into the thousands with than
Exactly.
this?
This is the
Absolutely
one that's
not.
gonna
This
push
is the
them
one.
forward.
Exactly. And
More
this
numbers,
looks to
more
be the one
better.
that deserves it. Well, this looks to be the one that deserves it because it's what we've wanted for like a year.
And then the
or
problem
more.
First running
solved
Windows Phone.
for another 10 years until you get to 10,000.
Yeah. Well, once we get really far
But
in the future.
it's not it's not running Android. I'm just going to throw that out there.
So Taylor has to go.
Actually, today, if it weren't pushing 90 degrees in my apartment, I was going to do a video on my thoughts on Windows Phone, and we're looking at probably Friday now. But yeah, you can look forward to that.
That's good. We will look forward to that. I will be off on Friday, but I will look forward to watching that on Monday. But I want to ask about this real quickly. Now your thoughts on Windows Phone aside, Taylor, as a photographer or a sort of one, you've got to be looking forward to the 1020 regardless of what OS it runs, right?
I am. My jokes about Windows Phone most of the time are nothing more than jokes.
Right. And what about Steven?
I speak the truth about Windows Phone. It's a great platform. It's just not for me.
Yeah, right. But you're a very special case because you stand apart from the rest of us in terms of smartphone adoption. I think you, to your credit, kind of exist outside this constantly changing world of devices because you've retained the same Nexus 4 for a while now, right?
It's only been 6 months. I guess that is a lot.
It's a long time
industry.
for the rest, compared to the rest of us. Yeah.
I switch phones every week, if that.
Yeah, I do that a couple times a week, given what I'm reviewing and stuff.
I get into what I like, and it's really hard for me to change it. I mean, I want to experiment more with custom ROMs and things, but once you get something that's working and you're familiar with, it's hard to take that step to play around and experiment with new things.
That's what Android backups are for.
Yeah,
This is true.
if you're still staying on Android. But let's not get too far away from that because I want to wrap it up on the 1020. Like I said, we're going to be covering that on the Hangout tomorrow. So please come hang out with us. Stephen, are you going to be on it? Who's going to be on it?
I don't know. I haven't made up my mind.
Jaime, Adam Dowd, and me.
Jaime, myself,
And you are going to be on it. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Stephen, you should be on it. It'll be
Jaime
fun.
told me that I have to do it because if I don't, it's boring.
I was initially very confused in the earlier days of this week because I was thinking that today was the 11th. And I was very concerned about this podcast clashing up against the launch of the 808. It wasn't until I think last night that I realized what was really going on. I looked at the calendar for the first time in so many days. But I don't know. I normally do news during these big announcements, but I've been invited to join the hangout with you guys, so we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I'm like, man, I need to tell Michael that I might not be able to do the podcast tomorrow. And I'm like, yesterday was Tuesday.
It's happening today.
Today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
The podcast is today. I need to tell Michael I'm not doing the podcast today.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to man up.
I think breaking news from the internals of the team, it looks like for all of you commenters, and by all of you I mean the few of you, but there have been more than one, who've asked us to cover the Cat B15, that super rugged sneaker phone. It looks like that is going to be coming to me. Now, we're not going to review it. I think what we're going to do is put it up against some other durable phones and have some fun finding out how it stacks up.
Do we have to return this one? Or can you do a destructive test?
Oh, that would be... No, we have to return this one. This is coming to us from Clove, so yeah. That's great. So that's coming to me tomorrow. And Taylor and I don't think this is not at all under embargo because these devices are already released. Both Taylor and I are getting Galaxy Tab review units.
Yeah, I have an Xperia Tablet Z in the other room, and it's still in the box with a tape on it.
Send it to me, please.
yeah. Stephen Schenck left a comment on what was it, the Tablet Z unboxing or the review? It was just want.
It's going to get lost in the mail coming to me. Let's just put it that way.
I adore that tablet, and Taylor, treat it right. I forgot why I sent it to you, but treat it right.
I think it's for a comparison video.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got a full res picture of Joe Belfiore. I got the full res.
Taken with the mystery cam, yeah?
Yeah.
How big is it?
Yeah.
He's got a unibrow.
That happens to all of us on marathons. Oh, okay.
Kidding, he doesn't.
High-res camera.
It's 2352 by 1568, which is
5 or 3? No.
Mathematics.
That is just under 4 megapixels.
Okay.
Downsample.
He took it with an HTC One.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, it looks pretty good, but it's hard to tell how everything looks on my computer because it's just such a high res. Like, if you blow it up big enough to actually see anything, it looks terrible because it gets pixelated. So I'll have to look at it later.
We're going to see, and we're stoked to see about it. Let's move on from Nokia to talk about the last bit of Windows Phone 8 news, which I think is actually pretty exciting. And we do have to talk about LG in the Android section. So let's kick it off with it. So right, okay. This is Steven's story, obviously. LG exec insists Windows Phone 8 device in the works. See,
moan, grumble.
Right. Now, to me, this is a good thing because LG has been conspicuously absent on the Windows Phone 8 front. And I think I've said this on the show before. I actually thought the Quantum had a lot going for it. They're one of their 2 Windows Phone 7 devices. It had one of the better keyboards ever. And I don't like landscape keyboards. And I had to, stand there in the AT&T store and decide for, minutes on end whether I was going to do that or get the Focus. And ultimately, the Focus AMOLED screen won me over. But I liked the Quantum, and I would really like to see a Windows Phone 8 Quantum.
The keyboard's not coming back.
I know.
And
it's sad. It makes me sad, though.
It is.
I had a woman tell me that yesterday.
What?
She it's actually the receptionist at the office I'm moving to.
Yeah.
She was talking about wanting a physical keyboard again. I don't know how I always get on these conversations with people about phones, but she was like, "Yeah, I really wish I could just get my old keyboard back." And I was like, "Gone are the days of a physical QWERTY."
Yeah.
So,
but they're not they're still very decidedly on their way up. But you can still find them. I mean, one of my other friends just got a Droid 4 for that very reason. She was like, "I need a keyboard."
I want to buy a new phone, and I want to never get an update for it right out of the box. What do you recommend?
But it's funny. Even after years and years and years of this, customers, not average consumers, but friends of mine who are tend to be tech light. They don't even know what an update is, and they don't care as long as they can text and Google and get map directions. They're fine.
One thing I've always believed is you should never buy anything on the promise that it's going to be updated.
No, of course not. No,
you
that's
should never,
suicide.
ever go into something. And that's one problem I had with the HTC One, with the shipping with 4.1 instead of 4.2.
Right.
But I mean, the difference between those two is very small anyway. But nonetheless, it's something everyone should agree with. You should never buy anything on the promise that it's going to be updated.
Okay.
Even if you know it's going to be updated. Even if the company says, we're going to update this, don't do it.
Well, thankfully, you should be able to
Wait.
avoid a lot of those problems with this theoretical LG Windows Phone, because Windows Phone has a pretty good track record of... Well, wait. What have we waited for in the Windows Phone world? And
First update was a train wreck.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
No. I mean Windows Phone 8. Sorry, 7 is dead. I'm not talking about 7 and 7.8.
We're not going to count the stuff that you're talking about.
No,
Windows Phone 8's seen its share of hiccups with the updates coming down.
has it?
I remember earlier this year, what was the one in February or something? There were a bunch of staggered problems where carriers were
is it the
starting to
carrier?
release it, then holding back, and you never knew who was getting it. I mean, you can always bypass it. It's a nice thing.
Right, but the carriers are always going to be that problem, and who knows when that'll get fixed. But that's not the OEM's fault. I don't think that.
Unless you're Apple.
But to my recollection, we don't have. I don't. Has Nokia screwed up a release? Has HTC held back on an update? I mean, or has not enough time passed? Because we're still waiting on this major one that everyone calls something different. Nokia calls it their Amber update, which is going to bundle in, what is it, GRE2?
Yeah, Amber's on top of GDR2.
GDR2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Carriers talk Windows Phone update GDR2 arrival. Anyway, so who knows? I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to talk about updates. What do you think about the actual hardware that's going to come out of this? Because we've seen LG shift from an older idea of this like squared off corner to some of the leaks we'll talk about in a second of the Optimus 2, which looks to be much more Nexus 4 like. Will we see a rounded Windows Phone out of LG, like an all glass jobby? What do we think?
I think you're
Probably
getting
going to
ahead
look
of yourself.
exactly. It's probably going to look exactly like the Ativas.
Well, I don't think it's actually going to come out.
You don't think it's going to land? You think it's not legit? I mean, this comes to us from what, Light Reading India?
Well, I believe that an LG exec has said that development's going on internally, and I'm sure it probably is. I don't think LG is going to release the phone, though.
Really?
They've been talking about working on a Windows Phone 8 device forever now. I feel like this is a project that's long been, designated to the bottom of the importance scale there. It's probably a couple of guys still, working away on it, hoping that LG is going to commit to it. But I really can't see them doing it unless unless this Nokia is a huge success and brings a whole new share of the market to Windows Phone. I don't think it's in LG's interest to release another Windows Phone handset.
So it may not be, but think about, what about the pressure that Microsoft might exert on them? Because if you're Microsoft, what do you have as far as Windows goes? You've got Samsung making Windows phones that everyone's kind of ignoring. You've got HTC making Windows phones that were cool for like 2 weeks, and now they're not as cool anymore. And then you've got basically Nokia, which is the superstar, and then Huawei, if you want to count Huawei for different markets. So
Was it the Ascend W8?
Yeah, so wouldn't you want to be pushing LG to recontribute, especially since they already have Windows Phone experience?
I'd be pushing Samsung to contribute more, but I don't think LG is going to bring anyone to the platform.
I agree, but listen about. I don't think they. I think there's a certain amount of pressure Microsoft can exert on Samsung, because Samsung's huge, right? They're the world's #1 handset vendor, and I'm not saying LG is small, but I'm saying I think that they can impart more force on LG than they could on Samsung.
It's kind of like a dual package. You encourage Samsung to do it, and LG is probably going to do it as well.
Well, no question about that. Yeah,
as sad as that sounds. So I say pressure Samsung and get the freebie.
That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
LG doesn't necessarily think on its own much anymore. They kind of wait for Samsung to do something, and then they say, we'll do it too. I mean, if you don't believe me on that, look at the LG Optimus G Pro.
Well, we're going to look at that in a second. What were you going to say, Stephen?
I'm sure, like a lot of us, I've been watching a lot of Arrested Development with the Netflix coming out last month, and say that one's a freebie.
I've so got to watch that show because everyone around me has been watching.
Wait, you've never watched it?
No,
I've never watched it.
Yeah, I know, right? See, Stephen, now you know how I feel whenever I'm on the podcast and I bring up a Star Trek joke and everyone, it's just dead air. And then one commenter 4 hours later is like, I got it. I'm like, thank you so much. Let's move on to Android if we can, because we have burned through Windows Phone and there's going to be a whole lot more Windows to talk about tomorrow. Android. We're talking leaks still. This is the leak show. And we have seen some leaks out of Motorola, which we talked about last week with their X phone, but we've seen leaks of, to me, a more interesting device, the Motorola Droid Ultra. Stephen, once again, bringing us this.
Interesting?
Yes. Well,
In what
hold on.
way?
All right. So what is interesting about this to me is not necessarily the hardware itself, which looks like basically an updated Droid Razr.
Yeah.
But it is what it carries along with it in its wake, which are the leaks about the Droid Ultra Max.
Yeah, anything with Max tagged on the back of it is amazing.
And principally because I read a headline yesterday. I think it was last night. It wasn't one of ours, and I don't remember who it was from. But the headline was Motorola Droid Ultra Max promises, quote, 48 hours of worry-free battery life. And I guess that was coming. That quote was coming from Motorola. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from. I was like half asleep. But that's exciting to me. Now, we have some problems with this leak, though, right, Stephen? We have some off-center buttons or something like that?
I don't know what to think about that. Someone pointed it out in the comments, and sure enough, it's weird. It's just off-center, and the next render that leaked was the exact same way. So it's consistent, at least.
We're talking the home, back, and menu keys at the bottom. They're like bumped over, like, 4 or 5 pixels to the left, right? It just looks just weird enough to be...
It's not something you'd ever see from an officially made render.
Yeah.
Why would Motorola be going back to hardware buttons?
Yeah, there's that too. I've heard people talking about how, because these droids are going to be on Verizon, maybe it was the carrier trying to push them to do this, but it's weird, yeah.
It is weird, because on the
definitely...
X... Refresh my memory, guys. The X has software buttons we're seeing?
Yeah, the X does, I believe, and the Droid Razr M, Razr Max
Definitely.
HD,
all
Razr
them
HD
did.
have on screen.
Yeah, I know those, but...
But I've got Motorola hardware. Let's look through some of these leaks and see what we got.
Yeah, so while we're talking about stuff like design elements, I mean, it is also interesting that the Droid, even though it's not called the Razr anymore, but the Razr design aesthetic is living on in these
It's the
Ultra
Razr
devices.
HD2 is what these are.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's great. Taylor, can you mute for a second? Yeah, that's a little better. It's funny because like the auto volume will like gradually boost the gain if somebody hasn't said something in a while, and all of a sudden there's a jet engine in my ear.
Lovely.
Yeah. But so I'm excited. I'm surprised and excited to see that that the Razr aesthetic has lived on, because I was worried it was going to just completely go by the wayside. And I think, tell me if you disagree. I think this is entirely a Verizon thing. I think they want their hardcore, militant droid heavy lifting phones, and they're not maybe as enthused about this kind of puffy Riverstone X design.
Yeah, I think Verizon's had a lot of success with the various Razr and Razr Maxes for the past 2 years, and we've seen signs of Motorola trying to reinvent itself. The new logo, we don't know if it's a leak or just a design suggestion, but there was that whole idea of a new campaign with goodbye Moto, and then it's reborn. So I can see it wanting to distance itself from older brands. So maybe it didn't want to make another Razr this year, and this is just its way of continuing on with the same things that have worked for Verizon in the past, but just making it a little 2013, giving something fresh, if not much. But yeah, the design's still there. And I really like that. Did you see the little stripe of Kevlar up on the bottom, on the front?
Oh, yes.
It's so not just on the back. It's
right.
Nice.
They've brought the Kevlar kind of finish right around to the front. And even though there's no chin on the device, it looks like it is just a little suggestion of that pattern on the bottom. That is nice. I didn't know
I guess I love the feel of it. It's one of the more premium materials that we've seen in
It really
wrestling.
is. It's like what I always imagined soft touch would graduate into. Remember when soft touch was new? It was like 2005, I feel like, was the first time I touched any kind of soft touch paint job. And I'm like, this is way better than anything glossy or, lame. And I was like, where's this going to go? And Kevlar has the soft feel of that paint, but with a, you can feel I like that you can feel the texture of the weave patterns.
Yeah.
That's one of the nice things I enjoyed about reviewing the Atrix HD for AT&T was that nice back plate. And that was about the only thing I enjoyed. Taylor, did you find what you were looking for?
I wasn't looking for anything. What are you talking about?
I thought you...
No.
You just shut him up.
Yeah, you told me to shut up. No, I didn't actually like the feel of the Atrix HD, but I did of the Max. So I don't know. It's
see that
weird.
Well, I liked the Max. I continue to like the Max, but I never got hands-on time with it.
I couldn't deal with the display.
I don't care about that pen tile, but let's talk about ultra pixels for a second, can we? Because we were talking Motorola already. We got the Motorola X up. I will freely admit that I was not aware that there was an alternate subpixel arrangement in a camera, but that looks like what's rumored. We got a leak out of showing some more Motorola X hardware, which, whatever. It's the Moto X. It looks interesting, whatever, or it doesn't. But the camera rumors are interesting, right? What's the story on this, Stephen?
The clear pixel, yeah. This leaked it was a guy from one of the various smartphone sites. I forget which one. I think Google plussed out this announcement that the Moto X would have this clear pixel camera. He didn't give many details, and then all these people are...
Taylor Wimberly.
Taylor Wimberly, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be with Android and Me. He sold it.
Right. So he makes this leak, and then everyone's responding to it, trying to get more details. And he gives this line. It's going to, it's going to put an end to blurry pictures or dark shots or something. And then a little while later, one of the commenters found that same line appearing in advertising or promotional copy from a couple years back where Kodak announced its own clear pixel thing. It used the exact same phrasing that he used here. So we're not sure if this is a feature that Kodak developed and now Motorola's licensing, or I'm kind of wondering if maybe its story's kind of being developed backwards and he started with a clear pixel name and just kind of dredged that up. So it's unclear, but if that is the case, and this is the Kodak stuff we're talking about, then it takes the normal Bayer filter pattern, which is a subpixel arrangement that uses twice as many green pixels as red and blue. It's kind of a checkerboard pattern, and it throws in these extra clear pixels. So they're not going to register any color sensitivity, but because they're clear, they're going to let a lot more light in, and so they can have they can deliver a more accurate brightness. A sense of brightness to the sensor without so much digital noise because we're pumping the gain up so high.
Right.
So it could end up looking, and there was a sample that someone found, and it does look better. You still get a little bit of noise. And even though we're losing color resolution, the eye doesn't really notice it so much.
Yeah, considering that this sample image is from 2007, it looks like this is not bad. It kind of almost looks like what might have happened if a Lumia device had come out back then, where it's like, here's this kind of shady, grainy, dark picture, and we've enhanced it. And you're right, you can still see noise in the second shot, but the fact that this is from 6 years ago is actually pretty impressive. So I was not aware of the ties between this 6-year-old development and this possible new clear pixel camera on the X, but it'll be very, very interesting to see whether this pans out. I love that everyone is focusing on cameras now. I love that the advancements in optics are what's driving this stuff because...
Well, I mean, what else are they going to do? What else are they going to do? We've improved displays beyond belief already.
Right.
Processors are also vastly
too
improved.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 1.9 gigahertz quad core, and we haven't even seen a Snapdragon 800 yet.
We're up to 2.3. 2.3 on the 800, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just we don't need much more than that. We're looking at moving up to 3 gigs of RAM soon. The only two things that are really left that need to be greatly improved are battery life and camera.
And software.
Well, software is an ongoing thing. It's something that's not hardware dependent, not always hardware dependent. Right. So it's more rapidly updated than not even.
Batteries are a hard thing to improve. I mean, developing I mean, we're talking not just engineering, like with lenses and fabrication issues. We're talking a lot of hard science into finding, the right chemicals that are going to be able to store, more charge per, cubic millimeter. And it's a lot easier, I think, and maybe more visibly impressive to work on increasing camera technology than working on battery life. And that's, sort of unfortunate, but at least we're getting really good cameras out of it.
Yeah, and Motorola has something that nobody else is really doing, and Samsung is, but really only in their larger phones, and that's gigantic batteries in phones that are still relatively slim.
Yeah.
So the fact that they can do that, I think they really have something that they could run with here. If they throw the two of them together, have a great display, they throw together a true flagship phone, like this Ultra Max maybe.
Yeah, but
but it's limited. It's always going to be limited because it's a specific device to a specific
because
carrier.
it's for Verizon. Yeah, but they released the Max overseas as well, and this is why I like having Tony on the show sometimes to provide this context, this balance for Motorola. Because anytime we talk Motorola, there's just like 10 minutes of silence from Romania, and I'm like, Tony, what do you think? He's like, I don't care about Motorola. Nobody over here cares about Motorola, and it's true. Like I think Motorola's European presence has been flagging or just kind of non-existent for a long time, and it's interesting because they're gonna. We have some speculation that they might be targeting the X at some European countries.
Or something like the X.
Or something like the X, yeah. But so that's not exciting in and of itself, but as a part of a larger strategy, maybe it is. But my thing is, guys, you're absolutely right. This is so exciting, this Motorola Ultra Max, and the Razr Max was exciting, and the Razr Max HD was exciting. But they may have sold very well for Verizon. I just really never see them out on the street. And I ultimately didn't buy one.
My neighbor has one.
Yeah, I have seen. I see them sometimes, but I live in a very different part of the country, I guess.
See, I wanted it. I wanted a Razr Max really, really badly, but what did I not want to put up with? I think it was Verizon I didn't want to put up with.
Well, I have Verizon, and the only thing I didn't want to put up with was the pin tile display, because that just kills me.
I looked at that,
and I don't think that Made in USA, this big new campaign from Motorola, is really going to help their international presence.
Yeah, true. But you know what? I think that's a good risk to take because no one else is really doing it except Apple's kind of half-heartedly doing it.
Google is just trying to.
Well, Google is Motorola.
I mean, they are kind of the same company.
Yeah.
It killed the Nexus Q, though, because it was so expensive.
Okay, it killed the Nexus Q because the Nexus Q didn't have any amplifier in it. The Nexus Q did not need an amplifier.
The Nexus Q was a redheaded stepchild from the day it came out. But
I loved it. I love mine.
I know. Everyone knows.
You have one?
I have one, but it's not.
He talks about it on every podcast.
Yeah, I have one. I didn't pay for it. Nobody paid for it.
Oh, yeah. I wish I knew that at the time. I would have ordered one.
We need to get together with a, Steven, bring a Newton. I'm going to bring my Pre-3 over, and we'll get Taylor's Nexus Q, and we'll just have a big pity party for ourselves. It'll be fun.
Or maybe I should just take my thermostat off the wall since it's broken, and also a redheaded stepchild, and
there you go. Yeah,
we'll have a podcast about that too.
That's right. We'll pour a little out.
Or my Ouya. I've got so many products that just kind of failed, like flopped.
This is no good for the podcast, but when we get the Hangouts going again, I found, going through some boxes, I found a toy walkie-talkie that looks just like one of those old, like 1988 Motorola brick cell phones, the giant ones.
Yes,
this is my favorite prop.
Yeah, I love those.
Taylor, the guy who shared the clear pixel camera stuff, said Moto X will feature an always-on system thanks to its proprietary dedicated natural language processor with audio sensors, noise estimators, noise cancellation, and speech recognition technology. I'm sure this is always listening mode can be turned off, but how does it affect privacy? But so it would be always listening, so you could
that's what I've been dreaming about for a long time. So you don't have to be in stupid S voice, or you don't have to be in Google Now. You just talk to the phone. I love that idea.
Like Google Glass, just say "Okay Google" and search.
Right.
Is he talking about when the phone's on, or like the Snapdragon 800 when it's off and you can talk to it?
It might be that.
Because there's problems with that in the hardware. What's this, an S4 that the Moto X is going to have? That doesn't have that feature. So maybe it is just when it's on he's talking about.
Yeah, I think it's just when it's on. I don't think it's going to be like I think that would be a really tough thing to sell to the public. With like
your phone's always listening
when your phone's
to you.
off. It's always listening. Isn't that
It's
convenient?
Like,
people are like,
Xbox
no.
One, and it's NSA Connect.
Yeah, right. The new
NSA
Moto
directs your
Prism.
life.
Yeah. So anyway, let's just kind of plow through here. I got the rundown links disorganized, but let's return to LG before we leave Android behind.
Before we get away from Motorola, any guesses about what we're going to hear about today?
Or tomorrow?
All right, tomorrow. I'm still thinking it's the 11th.
It's the 10th and the 11th. The event is the 10th and the 11th.
Right, they said it's not going to be the Moto X, but it's going to be something that they're sharing.
And it's Moto related.
Yeah.
Motorola's on display event. Is that what's going on?
It's a Google developer event that's open to like 50 press.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's private. It's a private event.
Yeah, there's no July 11th event for Motorola and no Moto X announcement.
No, it's a Google
obviously.
event.
Yeah, it's a Google event.
Google event that's supposed to be Motorola centric. So some think that.
So it's a Motorola event.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Nobody does.
The rumors were saying that it might be the Moto X, and then they said no, they're not going to be the Moto X, and then they were saying it might be Android 4.3, but that's not Motorola centric, so who knows what it is?
They're going to launch a Bluetooth speakerphone.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, what time is this thing?
I don't know.
Well, by the time this podcast comes out, we will have learned, and we will have reported on it. Yeah, hopefully. So, I don't know. Yeah, do we want to talk about that at all anymore?
I mean, we can. I can look it up again if you would like me.
I just wondered if anyone had any guesses of what was going on.
It's so low profile that I actually didn't even know about it. I heard about it last night.
It dropped on Friday. That might be why you don't know.
It dropped on Friday. What, last Friday?
News of it dropped on Friday.
Oh. Well, I was around on Friday, wasn't I? Oh, we were doing the podcast. Yeah. Last week was the weird week. Anyway.
Google's 11th July press event invite hints at Moto X unveiling. So this is old.
Yeah. If you find anything interesting about it, let me know, because I just want to talk about the fact that we are going to be there on August 7th for LG's event in New York City. I'll be able to make this one, actually. I don't have to not go. So, hooray! And the LG invite, or the teaser for the event, says, "Great to have you." And the G and the 2 are comically oversized. So this is very obviously the G2 launch event. And I wanted to take your temperature on this, guys, because I didn't think I was going to be too excited for the LG Optimus G2. We just gave away an Optimus G. It is on its way to Julian in Australia as a result of our giveaway last week. I think a lot of us really liked the G here at Pocketnow. I know I certainly did. It was responsive and the hardware was very pretty. But I wouldn't have been very excited for the G2 if it weren't for these leaks showing this cool, stretched Nexus 4-esque design. So I'm pretty jazzed about it, and I like the volume rocker on the back. What do you think, Steven? Steven's not excited.
Volume rocker on the back.
You don't. We know Taylor's opinion on this because you wrote an editorial about it, so you can chime in a second. Why don't you like the volume rocker on the back?
It doesn't work for how I hold the phone when I'm watching videos or something. I hold it by the edge, and I like to be able to fiddle with the volume control.
Oh, so you just like to have it thumb accessible, and you don't want to reach a finger around back there.
I've got this whole thing. I got my pinky propped underneath to hold the phone up, fingers wrapped around the edge. They're positioned to hold it at the same time, work the volume if I need to. If they're on back, I'm going to be afraid I'm going to drop it or something.
But on a phone call, it's nice on a phone call, though.
Oh, I don't make phone calls on my smartphone.
Yeah. Not many of us do. But Taylor, you like the idea, yeah?
Well, I was saying basically exactly what Steven was saying. It's a brilliant idea for those who talk on the phone a lot because it's essentially where your index finger rests. It just rests there on the back of the phone. Mm-hmm. But when you're using it for anything else, it kind of poses a problem unless the buttons are really easy to press or maybe they're capacitive. But then you might accidentally change the volume and you've got a whole... It's kind of we need to see it first. Like, have it in our hands and figure out how it works more than guess at it.
While we're talking about button placement, I have a theory about those the Droid Ultra off-center buttons.
Yeah.
What if it's optimized for right-handed users? Because
I'm left-handed, and screw those guys.
Everyone in my immediate family is left-handed except me. Odds are million to one.
Don't you feel
Wow.
special?
Yeah.
They're all just a bunch of sinister people. I don't know what to tell you. But what if it's slightly over to the side, because most people are right-handed, and when you're holding the phone in your right hand, your thumb, the center is not at least this phone, 4.5, 5 inches in size. Your thumb's not going to go to the center by default. It's going to be a little off to the left, right?
No, see, I don't know. I would move the buttons to the right in that case, because if I'm right-handed and
Really?
using the phone one-handed, I don't want to be stretching my thumb all the way over to the left side of the device. And I certainly don't want to be doing that more than I would if they were center.
This is the
Yeah,
problem
and
with
I don't-
ergonomics.
I don't want to believe that Motorola would be completely ignoring the fact that there are a lot of left-handed people in the world.
This is why I have been championing this as a very likely theory. But
You know what they are, guys? They are totally, this is the secret, they're totally rearrangeable buttons. You tap and hold on them, and you can drag them anywhere on the device. You can move them around to the side if you want. That would be cool as hell.
Motorola, first to optimize a phone for use with feet. I don't know. I
This
think
show-
somebody
yeah.
just kind of this show's taking a dive. I think someone had just screwed up in Photoshop. So,
Yeah.
as people normally do with these renders,
There's
like
some
an iPhone
sadist
running
in the marketing
that's
department,
the-
and it's like, man, this is going to keep them busy for 2 weeks talking about
Sure.
nothing.
What are they? It's like one of those little itty bitty hints that Google drops.
Yeah.
And they wait to see if anybody actually notices. And 3 weeks after they drop it, people are like, "Oh my god!"
was
Because they
that
stared at a
thing.
press event
like
invite for
that-
way too long.
Can I tell
Italy
you?
leak in the Star Trek Into Darkness screenshot? Likely, know what I'm talking about?
yeah, the one right where they hid a piece of crucial information about the film in the same frame as the half-naked Alice Eve. That one.
Yeah.
So
It was just
nobody
another
saw
post.
it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty tricky.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
I'm sucky at finding those leaks, by the way, because this LG one that I've been talking about, the G2 event, like when we ran this headline, like LG all but confirms G2 for August 7th event. I didn't really look at the image all that closely, but I'm like, wow, that's a really bold headline. How did they do that? I don't know. It's just black velvet. What's that? And then I was like, oh, G2, great to have.
Yeah, it's got a giant G and a giant 2 on it. That's pretty clever. Not.
You guys
And-
noticed the
And I want to punch anybody who ever uses the number 2 in the place of TO.
Yeah.
And I understand what they're doing here, but that is no excuse.
Prince would kick your ass. I'm saying he's a
is
small
so
guy,
true.
but he's scrappy.
Fierce. What were you going to say, Steven?
Oh, I don't remember what we were talking about 10 seconds ago.
Yeah,
Prince
It'll
just
come to
in
me.
the
wiped your
past.
Thought
It's in the
train.
past.
The consensus on the speculation, I suppose, for this event that's happening tomorrow. So the press event is happening tomorrow. The developer event is happening today and tomorrow. But the press event tomorrow, the speculation is that there will be the new Nexus 7. Which is likely because it's been rumored to be launching in July, and it just passed through the FCC last month. So, maybe.
Yeah.
It'd be a
I
weird
don't know.
thing to do in
But-
private, though.
Well, in private, yes, and 2, why would Motorola be making a Nexus 7?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot that's kind of, none of it really matches up or
You
makes
know,
any
the
sense.
Zoom was a great tablet, bro.
Yeah, I had one. I had 2. What about the, what is it, the Cyborg or whatever?
Oh, the Zyboard, yeah. Way to go, Verizon. So,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, let's close it out with iOS before we hit listener mail, because I kind of wanted to talk about this earlier. I wanted to segue into this with our camera talk, but this is something that is exciting to me, and the reason I put it in the rundown is because I wanted to get your opinion on it. Because this is a podcast where we talk about things, and
No.
Taylor's going to say no. Thank you. I appreciate you
Call me
fulfilling
Troll.
Captain Troll TM. Hey, could Apple give the iPhone 5S a slow-mo camera mode? This news story from shut up, Taylor. This news story from Stephen Schenck, and I guess this is based on code in the iOS 7 beta. That there's a mogul camera mode that would allow for shooting video with a frame rate as high as 120 frames per second. Now, normally, cameras on smartphones are shooting at 30 FPS, and then more recently, companies like HTC and Samsung have been throwing in this kind of slow-mo mode where it'll double that frame rate. It'll shoot at 60 FPS, and when you play it back at 30 FPS, it's really cool. Rather than just slowing down 30 FPS footage, which gets kind of jagged. Samsung was doing something cool with this at the Galaxy Note 2 launch event for the US, where they had a bunch of ping pong tables set up. Taylor, you and I were at that event together.
I was not there.
Yes, you were there.
Oh, yeah, I was. Just kidding.
Yeah, jerk. You were there, and
I was there working and didn't see you but like 2 seconds at the time.
You weren't working. You were hanging out with the rest of us because there was nothing else to report on except the stupid Verizon branding on the button. So you were hanging around just wasting time with the rest of us. And that's when Marquez and I had the ping pong game.
Yeah, I disappeared for like an hour and a half because I was actually trying. Yeah, I was working.
Actually, I was working too. I was working in that pop-up YouTube studio for a minute. And I was like, hey guys, this is a Galaxy Note 2. Really don't have anything new to show you, but I'm in a cool studio. Thank you, Samsung.
I had to shoot hands-on videos of devices that looked exactly the same and show what was different. So,
oh yeah, hard times.
And then we went because the Verizon one had a Verizon button on it.
Yep.
Oh,
and then we went to go see Kanye.
Oh, that was awful too. But I did down a lot of doers that tape.
I did too. I met David Gamboa that night. Instagram personality David, and we had a wonderful time. And now we friends. But anyway, listen, we were playing ping pong. Okay, we were playing ping pong, and Samsung had a Galaxy Note 2 set up to record in slow mo and kind of stream the feed to a TV, and you could see yourself playing ping pong in relatively slow speed and pretty good quality for how dark the room was. So I like slow motion video, and I think it's a pretty cool thing for manufacturers to be putting in. But it makes sense that Apple would try and play to this thing. Remember when I dropped the Galaxy S4 Active in the bucket of water at the end of the Galaxy S4 Active review?
You think I actually watch reviews?
No, you're a jerkbag.
We watched it.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen, for pandering.
I watched most of it.
I dropped this phone in a bowl of water, and I shot it with an HTC One. I shot most of the review with my regular camera, but I shot this shot with my HTC One at 60 FPS, and it's just so nice and silky to watch this slow motion action. And of course, if you're not doing phone reviews, you can take a video of your kid on a swing, or you can take a video of a boat going through the water or something, whatever. But why don't you think this is a possibility, Taylor, or are you just being a troll?
Oh, I'm just trolling.
So you think it's about it? I think it's likely. I think it's something that the iPhone has not historically had, and I think that they're going to go for it.
I'm just not sure that the processor that they're using is going to be able to support maybe 1080p at 120 frames per second, because that's ridiculous.
Well, they all downsample the resolution when they shoot at higher, so it's 720p if you're lucky. You need a GoPro Hero 3 to shoot at full res and high frame rate.
So basically, what you'd have to do is dumb this down to like Instagram status for super slow motion.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to go that low. You could do it I have a feeling they could do it in 720p at 60 FPS.
But this is rumored up to 120 FPS.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So at 120,
120 you'd have to be at like 640 by 480 or something.
Look at this XGA video I shot, guys. Super slow motion. Get out your magnifying glasses.
Right.
I don't know. Apple's got its custom chips for it. Maybe it has something up its sleeve that'll be able to handle all these pixels.
Yeah.
And it's going to have...
While it's handling iOS 7 too. Blah.
Well, neon colors don't need all that much
technical
processing.
Issues aside, I think the idea rings very true to something that Apple would do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't you just see the commercial? Like, I was like,
yeah.
There's so much that happens inside a second.
Ping.
Yeah.
That was a water drop.
And dots floating around all over the place.
Yeah.
Random dots.
There's so much we miss in our day-to-day lives. Don't you wish you could capture that? Playing somebody in the background playing a one-string guitar. Bing.
We know in real life the only thing that this is actually going to be used for is like slow motion video of your best friend eating like a cheeseburger or something.
Yeah. Oh,
a dog shaking his head real fast.
Yeah. Oh, of course. When this drops, let's all take photos of pouring milk into cereal really slowly, like it's a Kellogg's commercial, at high speed.
Are we moving forward with this terrible quality?
We are moving forward to answer one piece of listener mail, and then we're gonna call it a show. Hey, Pocketnow team, says Alex Ong. With the present of the great low-light performance phones, do you guys think flashlights still serve their purpose to brighten up the environment, or just be there to replace the traditional torchlight? So I had to read this a couple times to get the meaning. This is I think we ran into a translation issue. I think Alex is asking, considering the fact that so many phones now have, not so many, that a few phones now have really great low-light performance, does the camera flash still serve its primary purpose as a camera flash, or is it going to be relegated to like flashlight status for like finding stuff in your dark basement? You know what I mean? And I think it's a really good question because I never use the flash on my Lumia or my HTC One.
Never.
Because I hate the way flashes
it looks awful.
make the cameras, make photos look. Unless you're really good at composing, unless you've got a large distant object in the background at dusk, and you want to illuminate the foreground. You want to illuminate a subject in the foreground with a quick xenon flash blast. I get that, but otherwise I never use it.
But a little pinprick LED isn't going to do it.
Right, but a xenon flash will, like on a Lumia 928 or something like that. But you're right, the dual LED spot is not going to do that terribly well. Yeah. So, I think I don't know. I don't think there's really an answer to this question. I think manufacturers are still going to ship flashes on all their phones, and people are still going to use them for as many purposes as they can. But to me, this just recalled all of the wonder of the days of of not being able to control your flash. Do you guys remember when you couldn't light up your spotlight on your phone manually? Like, in order to use it as a flashlight, you had to start rolling a video with the spotlight on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You don't remember?
A little app or something.
Oh no, there wasn't not
in the days of BlackBerry
or in the days of dumb phones either. Like there was never any Torch app. You just had to like start rolling a video with your dumb phone, and it was.
I didn't even have a camera on my dumb phone,
and it only worked for about like 30 seconds.
Right.
Because either one, the video was limited to 30 seconds, or two, you only had enough memory in the phone for 30 seconds
Exactly.
of video.
Exactly.
So you have to use the camera for like 30 seconds, stop it, delete the video, and start again.
I still have so many old pictures or videos on my hard drive of like 5 years ago or 7 years ago with just like a dark hallway kind of going by in the fringes of the camera's vision because I'm using the thing as a flashlight. But yeah, so and I remember, guys, when the App Store opened up and I forgot which iPhone it was that. Well, let's see. The 3G and the 3GS didn't have flashes, right?
I think they did. The original didn't.
The original didn't, and the 3G and the 3GS did not either. So it was the 4 that was the first one with the flash. And when the first guy who released a flashlight app for iOS, like previously that had not been allowed by the App Store rules, but he just decided to try and submit it anyway, and it got through. And because it had been so long that anyone had tried to check, like he just racked up. I think it was 99 cents. He made like $30,000 in a week or something like that because everyone downloaded his flashlight app. So anyway, I don't know. This has been a nice launching point into nostalgia. But Alex, I think people are still going to use it. People are not like us. I don't think I see a lot of people whenever they're in the dark with their cell phones taking shots with the flash, and I think people are still going to use it equally as much, if not more than, as a torch.
And it's good to have options.
It really is.
Like it is
Absolutely.
now. You can choose to use it, or we choose not to use it, but there are those situations where you want to do it for compositional reasons. So if you can have the option, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
I forgot to read that email earlier, the one I told you about. You remember?
Oh, that one. No.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you mean.
I was scrolling through my tabs and I found it again.
Oh, you found it?
I thought it was funny because it starts with "Dear Purchasing Manager."
Yes.
Yes. Dear Purchasing Manager, this is Jackie from Sunrine Technology in China. The new sale season has been coming, but we recommend you our hot-selling product and model number SR108, portable pocket power charger for your reference. Or other portable charger products in our website for your choice. Sincerely yours, Jackie.
Oh.
Aww.
See, that's nice.
It's the personal touches.
Yeah, I like that.
Dear Purchasing Manager.
Well, it's kind of like addressing a letter to like Dear Hiring Manager or Dear, this should
I'm not
probably
hiring you,
madame.
Yeah. Let's talk about one more thing. This comes to us from Ryan. By the way, I want to mention, listeners, that we have some really awesome pieces of mail in here that I can't get to on this one because we don't have the right people on the show. Stephen
and we
Taylor,
sound like robots.
We do also sound horrible, so we just have to end the show as quickly as possible. But we're going to get to your really specific Android questions in a future episode once we have the proper people here.
And
Stephen,
air conditioning.
Air conditioning. Yeah, we got to get Taylor off the show before he completely expires. But this is from our friend Ryan Field again. Ryan recently got a Galaxy S4, and he's okay with the plastic build, but he says, I was wondering if there was a solution to the cheap feeling that some loathe. I'm writing you today to say that I've found the solution. On eBay, there are replacement backs for the Galaxy S4 that are made of aluminum. Here is the link, and what I'm doing in the Skype chat right now is dropping that same link to you gentlemen. And I'm clicking on the link right now just so I can see what's going on. And yes, there's a brushed metal battery back cover for the Galaxy S4. And you know what? I got to tell you, it looks pretty good. It looks like the back cover for the Galaxy Note 2, actually. It looks like that kind of same horizontal brushed thing. And it's got some machined holes for the speakerphone down the lower left. And it even has a nice little rim flange around the camera to brighten that up a little bit. And it looks like it comes in different colors, so that's pretty cool. I wouldn't... if I had a Galaxy S4, I would probably buy this. I would be a little concerned about how the radio performance would do, because it's not a phone that was designed for a metal back cover. But if you're willing to lose a couple dBm maybe, and feel like you're carrying a metal phone, I think it sounds like a good idea.
That's not bad looking.
No.
Yeah, maybe.
Thing. I mean, we can, if you guys want, we'll drop the link in the rundown.
Yeah,
so
if
that
you're,
you guys can
if
check
you're
it out.
down for paying with PayPal, I have a vendetta against them. So.
But that's not actually metal. Oh.
What?
Look at the inside. It's plastic.
Oh,
It is plastic.
Whoa. Well, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's plastic.
What is this?
Metal-esque.
What is this garbage? Hey, Ryan, we don't know what's going on. There might... hold on. Look at the front, though.
Wait.
Look at the middle image. Yeah.
Features, materials, metal and plastic.
Metal and plastic, right. That's what I was just going
It's
to say.
going to be chromed up plastic.
I wonder if it's just like this, like a brushed on or a sprayed on layer of faux. I wonder if this is basically
It's
the
plastic.
same hairline metallic thing. Yeah. We should get one and find out.
Yeah, we should.
You know what I love? I like that the Galaxy S4 branding is blurred out on these shots, even though it's very obvious that it's for the Galaxy S4.
It's because it's counter. And I remember getting a bunch of, Sony memory stick when Sony had their proprietary memory cards for the PSP. And I ordered it from some Chinese site, and it comes with this little sticker over, and you peel it off, and it says Sony underneath. I have no faith this is an actual Sony product, but they put a sticker on it, and everything's kosher.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's just like putting that round disc sticker over the Apple logo on any laptop on TV.
Yes.
And you're like, oh,
wonder
man, I
who
wonder what
made that.
computer
The pear-
that is. Yeah.
The pear sticker.
Oh, the pear
or...
Yeah, those are nice. Well, thank you guys for helping me. Ryan, thank you for sending that in. We would be very interested to hear from anyone who's bought one of those. We'll drop the link in the rundown, and we'll talk about those weirdo covers. Maybe never, maybe next time. We just don't know. Alex, thank you also for your question about spotlights and for allowing us to reminisce about the days of dumb phones.
As a
overnight
little bit of
success
a
apps. Go ahead, Steve.
final note here, while we're still talking about alternate cases here, has anyone seen this guy who turned a Galaxy Note 2 into something like a 270 gigabyte storage, 8,000 milliamp hour handset?
No, but you need to share that link.
I will try and pull it up. He basically just put a huge battery on it, an alternate back, and a micro SD to SD adapter, and bought a $1,000 256 gigabyte SD card.
Wow.
That is awesome. That guy doesn't need a computer.
It is going large.
Oh, man, please share that with me, because I think I kind of want to write about that or do something with it. That sounds amazing. Cool. Well, cool. Thanks for that interesting note. And, Stephen, thanks for starting off the show talking about what it's like on the news side of the team. I don't think we get your perspective enough, and it'll be great to have you back on the show again soon.
Ain't no thing. I'm back anytime you want.
Sweet, man. Thank you. And, Taylor, as usual, I've had a difficult time overcoming, the difficulties of you being my co-host, but I think we've survived another one.
Yeah, of course. Can I just add that I had a transformer, one of the first ASUS transformer pad, whatever it was then.
Yeah.
E-pad transformer, whatever.
Get it right.
And I had close to 300 gigabytes on that thing.
Wow. Wow,
Oh, yeah.
that's heinously crazy. So I got to go restore one of my old hard drives. Now that talking about all these like storage capacities, I realize in bubble wrap I have this crashed hard drive from an old laptop of mine sitting in my closet. So I got to take that to like a data recovery place because now I want to see all my old pictures. Know what I mean?
Yeah, bring your wallet with you.
I know. Oh, it's sad. Okay, anyway, while I go do that, while Stephen goes and reports on the news, and while Taylor tries to cool off in some coffee shop somewhere, I'm going to call it an end to episode 052, our one-year anniversary episode of the Weekly. Congratulations to us. 052 is coming to a close. You must find us on Twitter. Stephen is at Stephen Schenck, StephenSchenck. Taylor is at Casper Tech. And even though Stephen doesn't talk very often on Twitter, stay tuned for more news on where you can reach Stephen and all of the rest of us in a different venue. One might even say a forum. More news on that next week. Yes, but also follow Pocketnow officially at Pocketnow on Twitter, as Pocketnow on Facebook and Google+. Leave us a review on iTunes or Xbox Music, because that helps us out and we like it. And if you have a topic, question, or suggestion for the podcast, or you just want to hear your name read on the air, like those two lucky gentlemen before, email us podcast@pocketnow.com. Sincerely, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. I'm going to switch over. I feel like I'm hearing the bandwidth change on Taylor's end. Taylor, talk for a second.
Hello, I muted myself.
Oh, you muted yourself. Oh, well, that explains the bump in quality. Whoa, that was exciting. What was that?
That was the boat passing by in the grass. I'm sorry.
Of course it was.